Good morning. I'm here with Michael and Perry. They are the producers and hosts of Headwaters. It's an educational podcast about Glacier National Park. And they're here to tell me a little bit about how they make the podcast, how it came to be, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, thanks for joining me, guys.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought a good place to start would be, could you kind of tell me how the project came to be?
Sure. So in 2020, we launched Headwaters after a few years of scheming. So our colleague Daniel saw that Yellowstone had started experimenting with the podcast format in a show called Telemetry. And they were some short, well-edited stories about science happening in Yellowstone. And so Daniel thought, why couldn't we do that here? Lots of people listen to podcasts every day. It's such a powerful tool for telling stories, and we just haven't done it before. So that was kind of the inspiration of seeing other parks starting to experiment with it. And so Daniel sent a grant application into the Glacier National Park Conservancy. They also thought it was a great idea. And then in 2020, we started working on it.
What were each of you guys doing before you got involved with the podcast?
I was working in a similar position in the Tetons, doing science communication and digital media work. So kind of, telling science stories at another park. And I had done video, I'd done writing, I had done photography, other kind of multimedia work, but not much audio. So the podcast element was new to me, but the sort of storytelling was something I had already been doing for a while.
Yeah, I worked here as an interpretive ranger, leading guided hikes, campground talks, worked in the winters leading snowshoe programs for kids. So my job here had always been telling stories about the park to people who were new here or were returning visitors. And then when I heard they were going to start working on a podcast, I just started hounding our colleague Daniel. It's like, you should hire me. I can tell a story. So it worked.
Enthusiasm.
Yeah. Persistence, enthusiasm. So I think that helped having a background of being an interpretive ranger here because, it wasn't our first seasons when we started working on Headwaters in Glacier. We had the background of getting to know the place, getting to know what others are interested in learning about, and what people already know about Glacier, what's commonly told in these campground talks and guided hikes.
Yeah, definitely.
And I had worked here in 2017 and 18 as well, so I had gone back to the Tetons, but I did have some familiarity with Glacier and kind of Glacier stories, so that helped a lot.
Yeah, I think science communication can be kind of tricky, but you guys already have kind of a little bit of a base knowledge of a lot of the stuff here in the park. When you encounter something that you don't know about, where you have to kind of dig into it, can you just tell me about an experience maybe where you've had to do that?
That's the best part.
Yeah,
I know.
It is the most fun.
For me, what I love about this job is that I get to learn a little bit or a medium amount about so many different topics, whether it's white bark pine, whether it's the history of the fur trade, whether it's, all these different things that I'd heard of. I knew a little bit about white bark pine, but once we started researching that season, it was like, okay, we find academic papers that are published about it. We're going to talk to other experts, sort of pre-interviews, not necessarily for the show, but just call up people who know about this and see if they can answer our questions. Ask them who else we should talk to. That's been really fruitful. It's because, we can start with a certain amount of people we know who are experts on these things, but they know way more people. So that's been a really good way of getting connected to different people who can fill in different parts of the story, whether it's, people from the Forest Service or tribal members or just people who happen to have been involved with something for a long time and know the history of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this job shares, with interpretive rangers who are creating programs that they give to the public. Everybody who works here in interpretation is researching stories that they want to learn more about. This job just has the benefit of giving us the leeway and time. If we don't know something, we can invite ourselves into the field with the people doing the work. You go to the counter assault bear spray factory and get a tour. It just kind of arms us with the time and the encouragement to seek out those experts where they're working and hear from them directly.